And you know what's so funny is that we would be like at your shop and you'd be doing my nails and we would be yapping. And we
All
would
the
literally be
time.
like, we should record this.
Yes. And you know that I say that all the time. I'm like, people would listen to this.
Yeah,
Even if it's BS, like,
people gonna listen
people
to
would eat
it.
it up.
Welcome back to Get Cozy with Josie. I'm your host, Josie Lentner, and today I'm here with a special guest, not only my confidant and the confidant of a ton of other women in South Florida. I'm here with Odyssey, a celebrity nail tech.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so pleased to be here.
I'm so happy you're here. I feel like you know so much about me.
And do, just like
Yeah.
all my other guests.
I feel like there was a point where I sat back and I thought to myself, I'm like, sometimes you know more about me than like my closest friends because you just like
Yeah.
are that person.
Well, and you have to think like we're seeing each other every single month. Just like even with my other clients, like, and not only that, I feel like sometimes my other clients even know more about my life than like my own family. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
like we're kind of sharing off each other every single month or sometimes twice a month, depending like how often they're coming. So I could definitely understand what you mean by that.
How do you feel being a part-time therapist?
That's a great question. I'm glad that we're like jumping right into it
Yeah.
because yes, like beauty industry, nail artists, hairstylists, like lash techs are 1,000% like part-time therapists. And it's definitely something I've had to like adjust to. Um, but I've like also found purpose in it. So I think that is like a huge part that makes my job more fulfilling.
There's literally been times where I'm just like, you know what, I can't wait to go and tell Odyssey about this. Like,
And I'd be like, I can't wait for y'all to come and tell me.
yes.
Because I'm like, girl, what happened over the last month? Like,
No, for real. You be to ask me, you be like, girl,
yeah,
so what happened? What's the update? I'm like,
right.
so.
Yeah, exactly.
But you've been through it with me, and like I'm really grateful for that because I feel like you, especially like you and other people in the service industry, you give a perspective that's one, unbiased,
Yeah,
and then two, you talk to so many different women, so you're also like hearing what's going on. So like someone
exactly.
like me, right? Like I might not know that what's happening to me is happening to like 10 other girls,
Yeah.
and you can give an outside perspective.
No, I think I do definitely get like many different perspectives. Like, I obviously talk to a variety of women, but overall, like, we all kind of go through similar things. And I think it's like very important for women, especially, to have someone that they can confide in and like just being able to have like those open, non-biased conversations because especially sometimes like maybe something that you would tell me like you don't want to tell your friends
Yeah.
because you know maybe they're biased or they might know more to the story or they might judge you a little bit and like me I'm
You
taking it all in and I'm either listening or I'm going to give you my opinion and I'm going to give you my honest opinion.
No, I remember one time I was sitting in your chair and you said, "Don't be Carrie. Don't let this be your big."
And that's one thing I'm gonna tell all my clients, like, don't act like that. Don't be Carrie.
No,
Which,
it's
if y'all
appreciated.
watch Sex in the City,
Lots of life lessons.
very understandable why she was
Yeah.
the way she was, but she was a little crazy.
Yeah, she was a little
Yeah,
crazy. But you've basically like I've been going through for 3 years. Like you formed a community of women around you. Like
for sure.
how long have you been doing nails? Like how'd you get into nails? Like I'm so curious about that.
Okay, well, I've now been doing nails for 7 years. I went to beauty school in 2017. I didn't start doing nails full time until 2018. So initially, how I got into doing nails, obviously you know, but for those watching that don't know, I'm a mother, first and foremost. I was a very young mom. My son is now 9. So at the time when I had him, I had just turned 19. I was like fresh out of high school. Before that, I was waitressing. Like from the moment I could get a job and I was old enough, like I was waitressing because tips like I grew up with my mother in the service industry. So I just always geared towards something like that because I just knew it was more feasible income wise. But I was waitressing, and then at the time I was on maternity leave, and Lo was maybe 6 months at this time. And I was just brainstorming. I was like, I don't really know what I want to do. I'm like trying to pivot which direction to go in. I knew for a fact I didn't want to go to college. Like, I just knew that wasn't something for me personally. Like, I didn't have something I was very interested in that I wanted to do. And just the thought of like reading and writing essays, like, stresses me out. So I was just going down the line, seeing like what is something that I can create my own schedule, I can be my own boss, and I can make good money doing it. And before this, when I was working and before I had Low, like I was faithfully getting my nails done. Like from the moment I started making money, getting my nails done every 2 weeks. Friday payday, yeah, getting my nails done. So I already like really enjoyed that. And I feel like every woman has gone through this phase where they're like, you know what, I'm tired of paying for my nails. I'm just gonna learn how to do my own nails. And it's like you go into it thinking that you're gonna be like doing your own nails all the time, and then obviously once you get into it, it's kind of like, I'm too busy. Like I don't want to do nails in my free time. But anyway, so that's what brought me to the thought of going to beauty school. And at the time, I actually remember this day clearly because I remember I had already been like considering it and having it as a thought in my mind. And my best friend at the time, I was like feeding Low, and she calls me randomly and she's like, I think I'm gonna go to beauty school to do nails. And I was like, that's so crazy that you say that because I've been thinking of going to beauty school. And basically I felt like that was like my confirmation. And I was like, let's do it together. That way, like, it just flies by. So got into doing that. I went to beauty school. Quickly learned that like beauty school is really just learning sanitation and the basics and getting your qualifications to be able to work in a salon. And then after, I was still, once I went back to work, I was like still waitressing. So I was waitressing and going to beauty school. But within the process, thankfully I was still living with my mom at the time. So I would help her out a little bit, but I wasn't having like a full rent. So the money that I was making waitressing, I was able to save up and like slowly but surely start investing in my craft. And I was actually working at the casino at the time. I was doing cocktail waitressing. And so I had a few friends that like thankfully trusted me to like kind of like test run on them.
Girl, I was a test. I was a guinea pig for my friend that went
Shout out to them
school.
because everybody needs that. But my mom, she had like a back room at the time, and really small, like kind of one of those things where it's a den, but then you create it into a room. Like you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So it had its own entrance to that from the house, and it had a bathroom, and just like it was small enough to be like my own sweet space.
Oh, that's nice.
So, and it wasn't being used. So literally I like started investing in like nail polish, a desk, like little things that I needed to like start doing nails out of that room. So like halftime, partially I was like doing nails and also waitressing. And then from there, eventually I just got so tired of waitressing, and someone had reached out to me and told me that a salon that they worked at was looking for nail techs. And I was like, you know what? I went to school. I've invested all this money. Like, I might as well just go full time with it and like do what I need to do. So I felt like working in a salon was good for me because I needed that like guidance and just seeing how a salon is ran and like just learning more from other techs as well. But that was very short-lived. I worked at my first salon for 3 months, and then my following salon after that, I also worked at for 3 months. So then after that, one of my old friends that went to my high school, her name is Marley, and if you've ever like been to my sweet implantation, you know that that was like essentially kind of like my business partner. So she had reached out to me because she seen that I had got into doing nails, and she was doing nails from like when we were in high school. And she had reached out to me and she was just like, oh, like I'm looking into getting a suite, but I kind of want to partner with somebody. And like, I've seen how much you've been growing. And like, I think it would be really nice for us to like split a suite together. So at the time, I was a little nervous because I'm like, man, I barely even have clientele. Like, I'm still
Yeah.
learning how to do nails and like, just all the doubtful thoughts that like anybody is gonna like encounter essentially when they're like about to take that leap of faith. So, I was a little iffy for the first couple days, but I had prayed about it. I had told her like, thank you for reaching out to me, and I'm gonna pray about it. And it just once I prayed about it, it was something that I couldn't get off my mind. So I felt like, God was giving me that okay to take that leap of faith, and I was like, you know what, okay, I'm gonna trust him and I'm gonna do this. And thank God that like when I finally decided to take that leap of faith and like collaborate with her to get the suite, I was promoting on Twitter at the time and I had got a lot of traction. And that's kind of like where a lot of my clientele started to come in.
Really?
So that's how that came about. And then I was with her. We were at that suite up until like COVID, like how like summertime after COVID hit. And then after a while, I was kind of like, you know what, like the suite is too much. I think I would just want to change locations. Like, I just wanted to get more for what I was putting in.
Of course, yeah.
And at the time, one of my close friends was opening a storefront with now my good friend Raquel. You know Raquel.
Yeah, I love Raquel.
And so at the time, I was already looking to move out of the suite, and I had asked them like, do you guys have room for me? Because they were offering lash extensions, full body waxing, facials, but they didn't have a nail tech. So I was like, let me come in on that. And
Yeah.
we all split, and that's how I ended up at the Coral Springs location. And I've just been there since because I'm just so like, I love being there. Like, I love like the comparison between working in a suite, especially because the suite at the time, like, there was no sunlight. I felt like I was like going into work, not seeing the light of day, and then coming out like super dark. You know what I mean? So, and then a lot of times me and Marley, my previous partner, we had different schedules. So it was nice to have like that one-on-one time with me and my guests, but I think I also like a work environment with other women.
Yeah.
So that's essentially how I got into nails. I think like all the steps up until that point. Initially, like nails was more of a stepping stone for me. But obviously I've built a clientele over it and I've like found purpose in it. And that's kind of just how it stuck. Like time literally flies. Even earlier when you were saying like I've been doing your nails for 3 years, I'm like, where did the 3 years go? Because
Nah, girl, you've seen me go through like two heartbreaks, a bunch of nonsense, like two career changes, and just like my entire modeling career for most of it. Like I've been modeling for almost 5 years. You've been here for like 3 years.
yes, no, well, okay, yes.
Yeah.
But I feel like when you started coming to me is when you really like dive deep into your
Yeah.
modeling career, which
Yeah.
has also been beautiful to see because
Thank you.
I just love that everything you put your mind to, like, you execute it effortlessly. Even down to this podcast. I'm like, I feel like I didn't even know you were doing a podcast.
About
And then when you
first,
came,
right?
and then when you came out, I'm like, oh my God, like, one thing about it, when I see everything that you do in a day, I'm like, me and Josie don't have the same 24 hours. There's no way we do because I'm like, how do you juggle so much?
Um, I think I've said it on this podcast at least 3 or 4 times, but like consistency, like putting at least 2% consistency into every tiny little project
Right.
every day. Because you don't need to give 100% every day, but you need
Yeah.
to be consistent. And consistency is what gets you to like what you want. Even
Right.
with you, like you have grown tremendously as a nail tech, and
Yeah.
it's been due to your consistency.
Yeah, that's true.
Like you're always posting, you're always promoting yourself, even with like getting attraction on Twitter. And even when you said like, oh, like I don't know how you popped up with this podcast, it's so funny because when you mentioned earlier that you were thinking about going to beauty school and then your friend called you and like it basically provided you with like almost like a safe space, someone to go into that with.
Right.
That to me is like divine alignment, right? It was
Yeah.
in flow.
Exactly.
And with this podcast, it flew. Like it all flowed into place. Like I had the idea, but I didn't like really talk to anyone about it. And then my producer talked to me about it and he offered it to me. And then I
Yeah.
told him I was already thinking about that. And he was like, okay, well, if you're already thinking about it, like, let's do it.
And that's always the
Yeah.
confirmation. Like,
It was like insane. And then I ended up not going to New York in February for Fashion Week,
right.
which I
Yes.
talked to you
Yeah.
about. And I sat there and I said, okay, well, I have like I already took PTO, so I'm not going to sit here and do nothing. I might as well put my time into like a creative project that I want to start. And I knew that like my producer said he would do it with me, but like I needed to give effort and I need to put my own work
Of
into it.
course.
So I was
Yeah.
like, hey, let's do it. Let's
And
do
I love
it.
that. Like, one thing I have learned as a creative is don't start talking about what you're going to do until you're ready to do it.
This is very true.
And I'm glad that that's exactly what you did.
Yeah.
And clearly, this is the fruit of your labor.
We're here. We're here. And you know what's so funny is that we would be like at your shop and you'd be doing my nails and we would be yapping. And we
All
would
the
literally be
time.
like, we should record this.
Yes. And you know that I say that all the time. I'm like, people would listen to this.
Yeah.
Even if it's BS, like,
People gonna
people
listen
would
to
eat
it.
it up. So I'm glad that you've given me the platform to do my
No, I'm
yapping.
so happy you're here. Like, guys, I don't think you understand. Like, I was getting my nails done yesterday. These are my nails. I got them done
Her
yesterday.
real nails, by
These
the
are
way.
my real nails. My nails are strong and healthy because Adi's been doing them for the past 3 years. We started off with a press and now
Yes.
it's like builder gel on my real nails. Like I love it here. I'm obsessed. But we were literally I was there yesterday and we were trying to figure out you were like, what are we gonna talk about? I'm like, don't worry about it. We're just gonna yap. Like think about the sessions when I come and get my nails done, but on a professional set.
No, but our session yesterday, y'all, our session was so quiet because
I was so tired.
I was like, are you tired? But then I was also like, we must be saving all our energy for tomorrow because normally we be
Low-key.
yapping it up.
No. we
And
were
I was
yapping it
like,
up.
yeah, we're trying to save all of that for tomorrow.
I think one thing about you is like I love your aesthetic. Like
Really?
I love how
Thank
you dress
you.
yourself. I love how you create things. I love how you curate things whenever you get the chance to curate. Like you even made hats, and I'm obsessed with your hats.
Thank
I
you.
needed to get the brown one. I'm gonna get it next time.
Okay, yes, remind me because I definitely
But
have a brown one.
even like the hats, like Odyssey's created these hats that essentially they're so cute. They're trucker hats. They're girly, but they have the most beautiful message on them.
Yes. So the message that it says on them is focus on you, and then at the bottom it says comparison kills slowly. But before I get into that, I want to say thank you, and I want to say that I literally the feeling is mutual. So clearly, I'm just a mirror of you, because that's how I feel about you too. But yeah, the trucker hats honestly was such a random like drop because this was actually like a few years ago now. I had just started like offering press-ons, and the reason I had started doing that was because like I'm just always trying to find a way that I could essentially create like a passive income for myself. Obviously, like I have a son
Yeah, of
and
course.
I do nails, and nails do take up a lot of my time. So if I could think of any way to like make more money without having to do as much, like, you know, so that's how the press-ons came about. But then when I did the press-ons, I was like, okay, I need merch. Like,
Yeah.
I just need something that I could sell as merch. And that was just like one of those random quotes that kind of dawned on me because just one of those things where like a day and age where your social media is like our life. So it's just so easy to get into that, like if you're doom scrolling or
You've had to
whatever,
talk
you
me off
know,
ledges before.
huh?
You've had to talk me off ledges before.
Right. Like, it's just so easy to get into that state where you're like comparing yourself to others, whether it be like beauty or finances or like lifestyle in general. Like, and I think that was something I might have been slightly struggling with at the time. And I was like, yeah, it literally, comparison does kill slowly because I'm losing parts of myself trying to compare myself to others when the best thing that I could be is myself. So essentially, that's why I did that message on the hat. And at the time, trucker hats were like very trendy.
Yeah.
So that's how that came about. And then it was also kind of like double-sided sword because I'm like, me, don't compare to others, but also like, don't be worried about what's in my cup. It's my cup.
Yup.
Worry about what's in your cup. So
Maybe that's the next drop.
I don't know. I think Lil Wayne said that before.
Yeah. No, it's still.
So yeah, I've kind of put that down for a little bit. But I'm honestly, that was like a big hit. I was so glad that people were like very receptive to that and just wanted to support me in what I was doing. And overall, I'm just thankful that like I have a community that does support me, whether it's me doing nails or anything that like I put my mind to. But overall, just being a creative is like you don't have to put it in a box. Like everybody is creative in their own way. Like I actually just had somebody tell me earlier when I was doing their nails, they were like, "Oh, I'm not creative at all." And I'm like, "You're creative just in your own way." Like I think sometimes people put creativity in a box and it's like if you're not an artist or you're not like a dancer or singer or something that like is entertainment essentially or you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
they think that they're not creative and it's like no, everybody, we're all connected. So and like God created us and God is a creative. So we are all creative in our own way. It's just about finding in what way that you're creative.
that's something I had to like. That's something I had to realize because my whole life I didn't think I was creative.
Right.
Because my mom's an artist.
Oh,
So it's like it's like how do you think you're creative when your mom can literally like paint like giant like
right.
paintings?
Yeah.
And I'm like I can barely like draw a stick figure. Like I kind of have rhythm but I kind of don't. Like
Right.
I can't sing on pitch. So I'm like I'm not creative and I was never one to want to pick up and doodle for fun. I was never one to find creativity in that way. But then I
Right.
realized that like I am creative in my own ways.
Yeah.
And even when I look at the things that I create, I'm like, there's no, like, if I wasn't creative, nothing that I've done would have been created, even down to like my Instagram feed. Like, that's a
Yeah,
form of
exactly.
creativity.
It is. Yeah, it's a form of art.
Yeah.
And also, like, creativity doesn't always have to be something that is, like, recognized or, like, praised in any way. Like, creativity is just creating to create and put something beautiful out. Like, it doesn't have to
100%.
always be like somebody is seeing it, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
I'm reading The Artist's Way right now.
Wait,
Yes.
The Creative Act of Being?
Yes.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I love that book.
Actually, no, The Artist's Way. It's different from The Creative Act of Being.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, The Artist's Way is more of,
No, okay, I know what you're talking
yeah,
about.
but
I haven't
do
read
wanna
that
read
though.
The Creative Act of Being. That's on my list.
That one's really good.
That one's about
Yeah,
really. I want to
yeah.
read, and I love how aesthetic the book looks.
Yeah, I do like that too.
Yeah.
I actually still have to finish it. I put it down for a bit. I have a bad habit of like starting a
too.
book and not finishing it. But I do really like that book and I did learn a lot within
Yeah.
like the chapters that I did read.
From The Artist's Way, it's a book and it's been attributed to a lot of artist success because it's basically a book that it's more of a guide to
Okay.
spark back your creativity.
Okay, I love that.
Because the book, she basically talks about like you need to be being creative every single day. And she gives the tool of doing morning dumps, like morning journals, 3 pages every single day.
Yeah.
Just dump whatever's on your mind on a page in the morning. And through that, you'll be able to clear your mind and be more
Yes.
creative. And then also doing weekly artist dates, like taking yourself on an art date every week, doing, which can be anything that makes you feel creative.
Right.
And she essentially is really big on this because she believes that being creative is how you show God's grace through you. Like it's
Yes.
like when you are being a creative and you are using your creativity, you are an active channel to God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it comes back to what I was saying. Like
Yeah.
God created us. He's a creative and it's like that's our way of expressing like what he made us to be here for. But actually I did recently listened to a podcast. I wish I remember who it was, but she spoke about doing like brain dumps because obviously we're consuming so much in our day to day. And even between like what we're consuming and just like things that we have to do, it clutters your mind. And it's like when you have all that going on, it's hard to like channel any creativity that you have or ideas that you have. So like clearing your mind will help you to like get that get that channel or vision or whatever it is. But also the book that the creative act of being, he also kind of like talks about that, like, which is why I had also said earlier, like, don't speak on ideas that you have unless you're ready to do them, because he kind of covers how essentially like how we're all connected
Yeah.
and how we're all meant to create and put out our creativity in whatever way. And if, let's just say, like, if you had an idea and you talk about it, but you don't ever do it, and then, like, you put it off, eventually that idea, like, gets lost, and then somebody else is going to come out with the idea because that idea is meant to come out.
Yes, that's a concept.
Yeah. So sometimes, like, people think, like, oh my, like, when you're like, oh my God, I was thinking of doing that, and then now I see this person doing it. It's like, because you're supposed to act on it as soon as you got that idea. So,
No, that's why I think I'm working on something right now, and I finally just like pulled the trigger and ripped the band-aid off to do it because I was like, if the what I'm working on, it's starting to come more into trend. So I was like, if
okay.
I don't
Do it
do
immediately.
it right
Like,
now,
yeah.
and it's been on my mind for the past like year and a half, 2 years,
Yeah.
God's gonna take that idea and say,
Give it to somebody else who's ready.
exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's like, I think that's a really big thing is like the concept of being ready, right?
Right.
Like you're not ready
Yeah.
unless like the only thing that's gonna make you ready is yourself. Like
No,
I feel like
that's so
people are
true.
always thinking like I need this to be ready or I need to be in a certain place to do something. You don't need anything
Exactly.
except yourself.
And your confidence.
That part.
Yeah.
That part.
That's so true. I feel like a lot of times I like psych myself out and I'm like, or I have imposter syndrome and I'm like, I'm not ready to do this. And then I have to remind myself like God would not put me in this position if I wasn't ready.
100%.
So I'm glad that you covered that. Like, it really is a concept of being ready because you're never really actually ready. And
Yeah.
sometimes, what's the worst that's gonna happen? You're gonna make a mistake or possibly fail. It's like
At
you're
least
gonna
you'll
fail even if
learn.
you didn't do it.
That part.
So
Like at least you'll learn. And
yeah,
I feel like I'm trying to attribute that at least to like every aspect of my life.
yeah,
Like the concept of being ready when it comes to like friendships, to relationships, to business. Obviously feel the waters, like do your due
right,
diligence, like pay attention to things, but at the end of the day, like the person who's pulling the trigger on their own life is yourself.
yeah. And
So,
everything is a learning experience.
yeah.
You're never gonna learn if you don't do it.
100%.
Yeah,
I feel like I never really regret anything because I'm just like, well, at least I learned this, or like what I went through prepared me for what's coming up for me.
right. I love that.
Yeah, I love it too. I love it too. But I want to go back to talking about community because I feel like there's a really big and inclusive creative community down here in South Florida.
Yeah,
Like when you
no,
find it, you kind of get absorbed into it. Like everyone's
no.
so welcoming.
Emphasis on absorbed. But yes,
Yes.
everyone is pretty welcoming. So, but I will say wide community
It's
for
very
sure.
wide.
Like,
Yeah.
but I love it. Like, all the creatives I've come across, like, they all inspire me in some way. And like you said, that everyone's been like super welcoming and everyone's just like wanting to support whatever it is that you do because everyone just genuinely loves creating, like, and I think that's just a beautiful thing in itself.
Yeah.
Like,
And
that's the whole, you know,
yeah,
the whole thing behind it.
it's to
Like,
create.
yeah,
And I love when I see people just living in their authenticity and creating. It almost like
yeah,
makes me really happy for them.
no, for sure.
Like I love it.
Like, authentically being yourself, that's like the best thing and most creative thing you can do. Because then if you're trying to morph into whatever you think it is that people want to see or like whatever the case is, like, then you're just kind of essentially killing your power.
100%. I was talking to someone the other day about that actually. And he was saying that authenticity is essentially like one of the highest frequencies you can be on.
Yes.
Like when
Yes.
you're being your authentic self, because the whole idea is that like the person that you want to be, that's like your highest self.
Right.
So when you're being authentic, you're the most in alignment with your highest self. Even if you think that
Yeah.
your authentic self is cringy or embarrassing or weird, like it's not.
Yeah.
And adulting has made me realize that like people are just weird. People are
Yeah.
themselves. Like I'm weird. I feel like you have your own weird things. Like,
But you'll also notice that people gravitate towards that more,
mm-hmm.
which is also something I see in others. Like
Yeah.
the more authentic they're being, like the more that people gravitate towards them because you can see that that person is genuinely like being themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But
And it allows people to come around you more. Like the people who are meant to be around you to come
exactly,
around you.
like you'll attract what is in alignment with you. I think overall it's just like, and even me, I have a hard time with this a lot, is like, you just have to stop caring. Like, who
Yeah.
gives, I don't know if I could curse. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, the only person that I should care about their opinion overall is how I feel about myself. Because that's what's going to reflect in everything.
100%.
And, you know, obviously, God's not a person, but I guess
But then
that too.
God accepts you as you are.
Yeah.
So it's really just
Yeah,
you.
true.
Yeah.
True. Touche.
Yeah. Jesus loved the sinners. Jesus loved everyone.
The scrippers and all that.
Yep.
Hmm.
Listen, they're some of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
And are,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Like,
not afraid to be themselves. Yeah.
exactly. So that's, if anything, that's just true authenticity.
But yeah, like your quirk or my quirk or whoever else's, like that is what you'll find your purpose in. Like, have you ever heard stories of people like where they're like, yeah, I have a speech impediment, and then they become like amazing speakers. Like
Yeah.
they had to overcome feeling any way about
Girl, I mean, I had like the biggest insecurities about I literally thought that was hideous. No, I'm awful. I
what?
swear to God. There was a period of time where I had no selfies in my phone because I could not even look at myself with a front-facing camera. I was
Josie,
just like, ew. I
stop.
swear, no one believes me.
Damn. I'm
Hmm.
so glad you've grown past that. Look at that
Yeah, no,
now.
me too.
Because
Like, I love that for me.
what? I would have never
Yeah.
guessed that.
Or there was even like a point of time where it's like, I remember there was one guy that I dated where I thought he was too good for me.
Oh, never that.
Yeah, no, we've evolved, we've grown. And then when I
Mm-hmm.
look back, I realized that like, oh, like it's the
Yeah.
opposite.
You live and you learn, you know? We've all been there. So
Yeah.
that's the beauty and growth.
No, 100%, because it's like, and it allows me to have more empathy and just more empathy and care for people that I see going through like the same
Yeah,
thing.
for sure.
Because like, for example, I think I was talking to you about this yesterday about a situation, but like if I come across someone and they're not like loving themselves or they see flaws within themselves or they don't think that they're enough or they don't think they're pretty, I'm the first person to want to like uplift them and make them
Yeah.
realize that that's not the case. And I even tell them about myself. It's like, listen, I've been there. I know you probably don't believe me, but I've been there.
Yeah. And it's great that you could even give the input or like try to uplift them in any way. That's very important. But also people have to just believe it for themselves.
100%. You're never gonna do anything until you want to do it.
Yeah. And I do understand what you're saying because I feel like obviously it's an everyday work for everyone. But when I do come across like others that either have like deep rooted insecurity or like limited belief system or you know what I like scarcity mindset, it does kind of make you feel like very empathetic towards them because it's like you don't realize how much of life that you're missing because you're limiting yourself, whether it be like with how you feel about how you look, with how you feel about how you are, without with you thinking that maybe something is not attainable to you. And one thing about it, if it's a thought in your mind, you have an able body,
Yeah.
you have your health, you have a working mind, like you have God,
it's
It's all
attainable.
capable. It's all attainable.
Yeah. There's this
So
concept in Law of Assumption. Neville Goddard preached that the only reason you have a desire is because you are already living in that desire.
exactly. And then that
So,
also kind of brings like quantum physics in it because that's the Birdman hand, bro.
that makes that makes sense.
But it does because that belief system is that there's alternate universes that you're already living that variety, or I don't know why I said variety, but you're already
Reality.
living that like lifestyle in that alternate universe, which is why you're able to bring it into manifestation.
100%.
So you already know overall with spirituality, like it all ties in
Yeah.
together. Like,
It all, and that's why it's so important to just like, I know it's like, I used to be like, okay, it's so stupid to just like think positively, but you really do have to think positively. And it's so simple in the sense that the quantum field, like the quantum field does not recognize positive or negative.
right.
It
Only what you
rec-
speak.
Yes, literally only what you speak. So if you say you're poor, then the quantum field is going to replicate that in your reality. And also your subconscious mind is going to go out of its way to prove that to you.
Yep.
Because your mind essentially, how your brain works is it wants to prove itself right.
Yeah.
So if you say you're poor, your brain is going to go out of its way to prove you
Even
right.
if you're joking, which is like something I've really had to try to rewire my brain to not do because it's easy to be like joking with your friends and be like let's say you make a mistake and you're like, wow, I'm dumb as fuck. Or whatever it is, or
Or
like,
just be like, I'm
or
broke
being
right
like,
now.
exactly, I was just gonna say that, or
I
being like,
hate
I'm
that.
broke. I'm like, I always tell people, don't say you're broke. Just say it's not within your budget right now. Or, whatever.
Yeah.
Find other ways to say it because that is a real thing. We're like more powerful than what we give ourselves credit for. Our mind, the words that we speak, like exactly what you said. It's just like
Yeah.
it comes to reality. If you believe it, even for a split second, like it can be your reality. And that's why they say fake it till you make it. Because if you're delusional enough, I'm telling you, all the successful people
Are crazy.
crazy and delusional.
And
And
you know
that's why
what?
they're successful because they believe it for themselves. If no one else is going to believe it, they're going to believe it. So, yeah, that's like when I come across people with scarcity mindsets, it's like, ugh, cringe, jump scare.
Literally.
Like, no, just don't put that energy off on me because it's like, I'm sorry if you can't believe it for yourself, but I believe it for myself.
100%.
And if I'm in the same room or somebody else is able to attain it or it's a thought in my mind and I want it, it can be mine too. There's no difference between me and that person, whether you're born into money and I'm born poor or with less, like you might have better opportunities given to you, but I could also create those opportunities for myself. Yeah.
I love that.
You got so excited with the concept.
No, I did. You know, that's what I use as I don't even intentionally use it as like a way to weed out men.
Yes, though. But yes. But
I just
yes.
start talking about that, and then like the guys that like think it's like cute usually like stick around, and the guys that they're like,
That's not real.
yeah, oh my God, that's not real kills me. I'm like, okay, well you're closed
I'm like, brother, open your third eye.
Literally, like no, it's too like
Wake the fuck up. Like,
the third eye is in a fucking drunken slumber from all the tequila shots.
right. And I love me some tequila.
Me
but
too, but
we gonna keep
we
it
gonna keep
open.
it open. We gonna keep it open. But I feel like even with that, like I've gone to a point now where I don't people, men, friends, etc., like who aren't open, I don't really like attract that as
Right.
much anymore.
Yeah.
Or it's like at least I use as like a guide because if you're not open-minded enough to even like hear me out,
Exactly.
I'm not going to
That's all I
like
need to know.
X you out, but I already know like where you and I stand on intellectual level.
Exactly.
Because I'm not saying I'm the smartest person in the world, but I'm curious. I like to learn, and I will always be open-minded. And I always say that my values stay the same, but my opinions can change
Exactly.
because I'm always learning. We're always
Always
learning and
learning, always
evolving.
growing. How I feel about something yesterday might not be how I feel about something tomorrow.
Correct.
And that's okay.
Yeah,
I'm allowed to do that.
100%. And you also have to give people like the space to change and to grow and to like evolve themselves.
Yeah.
So it's like I've had friends that have had like scarcity mindsets, and it could be so easy for me to just be like, well, I don't want to talk to them anymore. I'm just gonna cut them off. But that's not really what you should do.
Exactly.
Like you
Yeah.
just give them the space to grow. You accept that that's where they are, and what they believe is what they have the capacity to believe at
Yep.
that moment. And usually after they get tired of my delusional rants, they start to like tap in every
They're
couple
like, damn, maybe
months.
I'll start being delusional too.
Girl, every couple months I'll get what are those breathing exercises you do?
Oh, that's so funny. Which actually, yeah, you need to walk me through a breathing exercise. I could definitely benefit from that.
Oh, girl, I got you. I
But
got
that's like
you.
the beauty in relationships and love. Like, you love your friends, you love any partners, your family, whatever. Like, the point of relationship and companionship, the whole purpose of it is to uplift each other and like bring each other to the highest version of yourself.
Yeah.
So, like you said, like, you're not automatically going to X somebody out because that's like a real struggle to go through, like scarcity mindset or whatever the case is, like whatever trials and tribulations someone's experiencing. And if you have the knowledge to like help them get through it, by all means, that's your purpose of being in their life. Like, you want to be your highest self and then also like bring others around you up to their highest selves in any way that you can. Overall, just having like a positive impact on them. But it's also just one of those things that there's so much to take account into. It's like deeply
Yeah.
rooted, like childhood. From childhood, it's like
But
we.
even with that, like I saw, because I'm super into manifestation, and obviously I take everything with a grain of salt because I have worked on like my childhood things. But there are some people who genuinely believe, like, yes, you went through these things, but you also are an adult. So
Yeah.
just let it go. Like it's easier said than done, but just
Yeah.
like
Way easier said than done.
just let it do its thing.
Way
Like
easier said than done.
there's a lot of things that I've kind of just let go, but it's been a lot of repetition, right?
Right.
Like even with like okay, like with parents, it's like accepting that like okay, instead of getting mad at my parents for whatever it is that they've done, just accept that like they're people, and me being upset is not going to
Exactly.
change what they've done.
Exactly.
They're most likely very aware of what they've done, even if they are living in denial and don't necessarily want to say it to me. But there's no point in harping on things and like causing more pain and causing more hurt and reliving, because when you worry about something, you're reliving that pain twice.
Yeah, and it's only hindering you. They're not affected by
100%.
it anymore. The only person that it having that unforgiveness is affecting is
Yeah.
yourself. So I think like becoming an adult and becoming a parent myself, that's something that's like really helped me work through some childhood trauma. But also it's just like a lot of reflecting. I feel like, you go through traumatic stuff and like your brain kind of just like blocks it out almost sometimes,
Yeah.
And then once you reflect more, it's kind of like, wow, like that affected me more than I
Then you
thought it really
realized.
did. But definitely like especially becoming a mother has taught me a lot about myself, like, and just helped me be a lot more graceful with my parents. And like you said, like understanding, they're human too. They did the best that they could with the information that they had and who they were at that time. And especially like tending to Lo, which by the way, my son's name is Angelo, but we call him Lo for short. But that's like taught me ways to even tend to my own inner child. And I'm like, these are things that I wish I had when I was a child, and like finding ways to also heal myself. And like he even teaches me stuff a lot of times. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, like it's just overall just such a beautiful experience because I'm like, you're so pure and so young and like you don't even know life yet, but you're like still teaching me so much that you don't even know. It's like making me emotional a little bit, but yeah, I'm like so thankful for him. I do think that having a child is like the purest form of love that you could ever know. Like, I always say that's probably the closest that you can ever experience to like God's love, you know? Because your child loves you unconditionally. Like, especially when they're young, they haven't experienced like real trauma just yet.
Yeah.
They haven't experienced the real world yet. Like, all they know is that you're their parent, you're in charge of like making sure that they're good, and they like whatever you're doing, they just love everything about you. So,
How do you feel like having Lo young like shaped you?
um, yeah, I definitely had to.
'Cause you're a cool
Well,
mom.
thank you.
You're a cool mom.
Well, I have a cool kid, so it really helps. But
Yeah.
okay, well, I already felt like I had to mature from a young age because I actually have twin brothers that are younger than me. So they're 8 years younger than me. So from when I was like 8, 9 years old, I was like mommy number two
Yeah.
to my twin brothers. And that's actually something that I've had to work past with, my mom because I felt like a lot of my childhood was kind of like taken from me because I had to take on like that extra responsibility. So actually, for the longest, I was always like, I'm not gonna ever have kids. Like, so it's just crazy how life works
Yeah.
because I'm like, I'm not ever having kids. I'm just gonna be living my best life. And God was like, no, right to it. So, I mean, it did have to make me like put a fire under me quick. Like, I had to pivot quickly and figure out what I was gonna do because now I have this extra person to account for and like take care of and make sure that they're good and like set up a nice life for them. So at the time, I think when I first became a mom, I kind of felt like I was missing out on stuff. And it's hard like being a young mom and you're seeing like all your friends going to college and living their life and like you have real responsibilities. Like again, thankfully for the first couple years I was living with my mom, so I didn't have to worry so much about bills. But then once I went on my own, it was like a whole different ballgame. So at first I did kind of feel like I was missing out on stuff, but nothing's gonna compare to that feeling of having like your own mini you. And just knowing that you were blessed with the responsibility of like taking care of another person. Like God really trusted me and blessed me with the child, like most perfect child that I could possibly ask for, and shaping his life. And the same breath, he's shaping my life. Like we're growing together. So being a young mom was a little hard, but thankfully, like I have an amazing support system. Like I have my friends, I have his dad, I have like my mom, his dad's dad. So between them, like it's not as hard as I expected it to be.
I mean, that really puts emphasis on like what you hear it takes a village to raise a
No,
child.
exactly. And it's funny, I was literally thinking of that, like on the way here and just like over the past week, I'm like, it
Yeah.
really does take a village. Like that's why people have said that for centuries because you can't raise a child all on your own. That's why, like, I genuinely feel for women that maybe they might have a community or maybe they don't, but like women that have their children full time, I really feel for them. Like, that is like a literal superpower, especially if you're working at the same time because it's just a lot to juggle. Like, it's a lot. It does take a village.
No, I was one of the kids who was like full time with their mom,
Yeah.
and she
So then you know
worked.
firsthand,
Yeah.
exactly.
She just took me everywhere, and like everyone was kind of just like, "You have your kid," and she's like, "What am I supposed like? What do you want me to do?" Like,
Yeah.
yeah, she's here, and she's not gonna cause any problems. Like,
Yeah.
see, it's fine. I remember specific moments where they'd be like, "You can't have kids here," and she's like, "She's fine."
She's so funny. It's like, what are you gonna do at that point?
Yeah.
Like,
No,
but no, I'm just very thankful that I have a good support system and community. Like, I'm also thankful, like, me and his dad co-parent well. Like, we switch off our time. That gives him a little time for himself. That gives me a little time for myself. Like, and it works for us. So
Yeah.
I'm thankful that, like, I have a good situation with that so that I can put my best foot forward.
Well, you do it flawlessly.
Thank you.
No, you do it
It's
like
not as flawless as I make it.
no, you do it flawlessly. Like you're very much like super mom.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're very much super mom.
I think, like, what were you gonna say just now?
No, my producer was like, wrap it up.
Oh, sorry, guys.
It always gets good. Once it gets good, that's always when he's like,
He's like,
wrap it
yeah,
up.
time to go. Let me start drinking my wine then.
Listen, as you should. On brand.
But thank you. I'm glad that I can make it look effortless, even though a lot of times it's not. But what I was gonna say is, like, mom guilt is just such a real thing. Like, because no matter what, like, as a mother, and when you become a mother, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. You're always gonna feel like you're not doing enough. You're always gonna feel like you could be giving more for your kid, or like just whatever the case is. Like, mom guilt is real. So a lot of times I feel like I'm not doing enough, even though ultimately I'm doing the best that I literally can. But also, I think a big part of that is just like finding time for myself
Yeah.
before anything. Because, like you said, like earlier, with me being like a therapist to all of my clients, I don't know what to expect when I'm seeing like 4 people on average a day. I'm talking to 4 women,
For
4 different women all day.
for like 2.5 to 3 hours, maybe
Yeah,
more.
exactly. And I don't know what to expect. Like, I don't know if you're gonna come in and you're like, I have amazing news, or you're gonna come in and you're gonna be like, I have terrible news. And that could vary, depending on what it is. So I have to find time for myself to not only put my best foot forward to be prepared for that, but also put my best foot forward and pour into my cup so I could pour into others' cup, including my son especially, before anyone else.
Yeah.
So,
Well, before we go, I want to know, what do you do for yourself? Because you handle a lot.
okay. And I'm gonna want to know the same about you.
Ooh.
Um, I mean, as of recent, it's really been like finding time for myself could look different all the time. It's like
Yeah, I agree.
whatever feels right to me that week. Whether that's like taking a day to stay home all day long, or my daily workouts. Not daily. But I be trying to go at least like 4 or 5 times a week.
That's good.
Staying active, like having a beach day, doing yoga, doing a Pilates class, like something that's just gonna get my mind right and allow me to like unwind. And or even like if it's like going out with my friends and getting drinks and dinner, and like that one thing about that will heal me instantly.
Oh, Adi eats.
Will heal me. Let me have 2 martinis and a good meal with my girls and some yapping.
Girl.
Like, just that in itself, I'm like, suddenly life is worth living again. Like, wow. But also just brings me back to being thankful for an amazing support system and like friendship. All that, like, it takes a village to not only raise a child, but for yourself. Because you can't put all that responsibility on one person. Like, so overall, just whatever feels right to me. And learning to say no. That is something I've really had to learn. And I'm still working on it, but learning when to say no.
Heavy on that. I would
Yeah.
have to. I'm definitely learning when to say no myself.
Okay.
That's not easy. I don't think it's gonna get any easier, but I'm becoming more confident in it.
Okay, yeah.
But for me, I would say it's kind of like the same thing. It's like whatever feels right in the moment, but I love self-care. Like, I
Yes.
love to pamper myself. I love a good facial, sauna, some
Mm-hmm.
day at the beach. And one thing that has become really like prevalent in my life has been my mindfulness practices.
Yeah.
So that's really how I take care of myself, whether it's like a breathing exercise or meditation or just spending time in silence and reading. That
Yeah.
has become very, very prevalent. And of course, like spending time with friends, whether it's like girls, whether it's like my guy friends. Sometimes I want to spend time with my guy friends because it's like I don't have to think that much and you don't have to
Yeah.
yap. And then
Yeah.
sometimes I just want to be with the girls and have a good espresso martini because I love an espresso martini. It wakes me up, which I need to be
Yes.
woken up
Yes.
sometimes.
Well, with all you do, yeah.
Girl, yeah, I be needing to wake up. Or also, I love dancing. I love I
Hmm.
love a good Afrobeat night
Okay.
where I can just dance and
Just let loose a
yeah,
little
let
bit.
loose, dance, get rid of some like you know like when you like dance and you like move your hips and it releases
Yeah.
trauma. So
No, it
literally release
does.
trauma.
Your body
But
keeps score.
I have to read that book.
I haven't read it, but that is a real thing.
Yeah.
Your body does keep score. And I
Yeah.
have heard like how dancing really helps you like release any trauma or like
It really
negative
helps you flow.
energy. Yeah.
But just honestly doing anything that allows me to like disconnect from all the crazy things that I'm doing
Right.
and like be present. That's something I've been really,
Yes.
really focusing on is being
Yes.
present. And I'll even tell myself like now is the time to be present.
Yeah.
Because that's when things move for you, is in the present.
Yeah.
But on that note, I just want to say thank you so much for getting
Thank you for
cozy with
having
me.
me. And thank you guys for listening to us. Yeah.
Yeah. Guys,
They said we
this,
gotta go, so
yeah, you know, my producer always cuts me when it starts to get good. And
he's
I'm
like, this too good. They're not trying to hear that, so
No, I'm honestly gonna. I have a vendetta against him for this.
it's okay. We'll have a reunion or something.
Ooh, don't tell them yet. Yes, reunion episode coming soon. Hopefully after this season, and I'm glad to know that you'll be on
Yes, of
it.
course.
No, thank you so much for coming
Well,
on. See, I want to plug all your socials. Please take the time to plug yourself.
okay, so my personal is at AUDISEA, and my nail page is nailed, NAILED, by BY, Odyssey, AUDISEA, which is not my actual spelling, by the way.
Yeah, no, her name is Odyssey, like the journey.
Mm-hmm. ODYSSEY.
And of course, like always, I'm your host, Josie Lentner. You can find me at Josie Lentner, and you can find Get Cozy with Josie at Get Cozy with Josie's Pod. I want to thank you guys for getting cozy with us, and until next week, stay cozy. Bye.
Bye.